postcards are so much fun, especially if the set has tiny critters. So today I'm using this stamp pad, not stamp pad actually, paper pad here. This is called the Holly Jolly paper pad, which was released a few months ago. And I've chosen a couple of cardstocks or papers, designer papers from this, and have gone ahead and cut these letters, alphabet letters, using those dies. And I've chosen the word Christmas. So I've selected a few different designs for that word. And then I'm using this stamp set, and this is called Dear Friend. And there's some really cute critters in it. It's actually reindeers, and they're so adorable. And I want to color these images, so I'm just going to stamp them using my Memento ink. I can't believe I've been calling it Memento for so long, and for some reason, just a few days back, I looked at it and it says Memento, not Memento. Anyway, so I've used the Memento ink here, and I'm just going to use some of my Copics. I have not really kept the coloring a whole lot. I'm just showing you how I colored the deer, and then everything else was just basic colors. I did not choose too many colors for this stamp. I went very much in the traditional colors of reds and greens, and then maybe some browns because of the deers. Other than that, really no other colors. And maybe, I don't think I've even used pink, so it's just these colors. I will put those colors down in the description box below, just so you know what Copic colors I used. So as I said, I'm just choosing a few of the brown colors here, and I'm just going to color them very simple, darker to lighter. If you're using Copic, that's the easiest way to color. It's just go from your darker shade to the lightest shade versus going from the lightest to the darkest, because it's always hard to blend if you go the other direction. Not only that, you are using a lot of ink in that case. So I try to keep it from the darkest to the low to the lightest. And I choose Copic very often than not because it is the easiest medium for me. And I've told this multiple times in many of my videos that you don't have to choose Copic, especially when you're doing simple coloring like this. You don't really have to choose Copic. If you want to use color pencils, go ahead, use color pencils. Whatever medium you have, go ahead and use that. The idea here is not really the coloring or the videos that we show on this. Sometimes I do show coloring too, but most of the videos that we show here on this channel is not necessarily the coloring part of it, but it is how we use the products that are available in the store, and trying to make the best of those products. But very often when we look at these critters and things like that, if you're not into critters, it becomes a little hard to know how to use them. And for me myself, using critters is quite a challenge. I would rather use a flower than using a critter, but I've kind of I'm trying to grow out of that and start using these critters more into my stamp making. And there's so many cute ones, and this one especially, the Dear Friend one, is so pretty. So here you can see I've kept this coloring so simple, just those additional reds and greens, and I've just added a few dots here and there with the white just to create that whimsical look for these deers. And I'm using the coordinating die for the stamp set, and here's those die cut. Now let's start building the card. So as I said, using these critters, what are we going to do? We're going to build a scene, so we can use most of these critters from the stamps. So to build a scene, I'm starting here with a pine tree stamp set. This is an older set, of course, and if you have a pine tree set, any pine tree set should work for it. Solid is better. So I'm just choosing a few color fuse green ink, and I'm going with the lightest and the mid-tone. Sorry. And I'm going to stamp these pine trees using those colors. Ignore my stamp, it looks very dirty, but before I went to stamp it, I did clean it, which I didn't keep it in the video because it was just too much. Anyway, so I'm going to just stamp this pine tree using the lightest shade of the green that I've selected, and I think it's melon. And the misty really helps me because you could see the first time it didn't stamp really well. I had to stamp it again, so it really helps to have a stamping positioning tool. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. As I said, I'm building a scene for these reindeers to be playing in a wintry, snowy landscape. So I've also chosen another smaller pine tree and have added that in a staggering. And the card kept popping off. Oh, I did not mention earlier, this card base is actually a 5x7 base, which means to say you're going to cut a piece of cardstock, an 8x11 cardstock, to 10 by 5. So that way when you score it in the center, you will get a 5x7, 10x7 actually, and then you'll score it in the center and you'll get a 5x7 card. I wanted this to be a larger card just because I wanted to use quite a few elements for this scene. And then I've also blended a little bit of blue ink just to create the ice and a haze behind those trees. I'm just going to plan how I want this word to be put together. So the word I'm building is Christmas, and as I said, I've used multiple colors of multiple papers to die cut these words. And yes, you can make multiple cards because you do cut quite a few times. Each of those papers, I cut them multiple times, so I have the same amount of letters the next time as well, except for I think S, you probably would have only one set. So you can create multiple cards at once with this particular card as well, because you've already die cut those alphabets. And you could see here I actually placed the letters in a line and then put the tape so that the letters don't move while I'm gluing, so it makes it easier to put the letters on a word, especially when they're just alphabets like these. And it's just a small hack, and I think if you've been watching videos, there are many artists to do this, and it's a really easy way to do it. Only thing is, when you're taking off the tape, make sure you're careful because sometimes it can pop up. The glue is not dried yet, so, and it's good that the glue doesn't dry yet, because if you want to make any changes, then this is the time to make the changes while the glue is still drying. And once it's dried, it's adhered the way it should be. My M is a little wonky, A is a little wonky, and that's okay because the whole card is so whimsical, those things would really not matter. I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle to this, so I just took some gold watercolor paint, and I'm just going to add that to the center. I'm focusing the dots just to the center of the scene, and you can see how beautifully the scene is built. So the Christmas is actually the background for the scene itself. And then I'm going to add these reindeers. So I'm just going to add some foam tape behind these reindeers because I want these elements to pop off the card. I think you can, not I think, I'm sure you can mail this card, but you may have to pay maybe extra postage. I'm not too sure. Sometimes you don't have to, but I think because the size of the card is larger, you may have to. Otherwise, it's hand deliverable too. And then I've chosen this this sentiment as well from the same stamp set, and I've gone ahead and stamped it onto a black cardstock using white embossing powder, which I really like, especially when there's a bright card like this. A black and a white pop really brings those elements together. It draws your eye to what's going on the card, you know. So I'm just going to start adding these. Now, because I've added foam tape behind that sentiment, I needed to double up the foam tape on the deer so that it could be on top of that sentiment. Here you can see that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to add a little bit of glue onto his belly and then put him there, and that way it's flush and it's not wonky. And then it's just time to adhere these two deers as well. After I finished adhering that, I realized I did have a few stars that I needed to color, so that's like a yellowish green. And then I took a very light pink, which was actually R20, and I just added some balls to the trees. And these trees are set back, so you want the balls to be light as well. And here you can see the finished card and the close-up of this card. I really hope you would look at these critter stamps and make some of those beautiful scenes this winter. Bye bye.